What if I told you that one of the most powerful forms of manipulation is so subtle you might not even notice it's happening? Well, today we're going to deconstruct it. This is an explainer on what I call the architecture of confusion.
The person refusing to give you a straight answer isn't confused. They are actually exercising the highest form of communication control. We generally assume that a lack of clarity is just a sign of poor communication skills, but the reality? Well, it's so much more calculated.
So why does asking a simple question often leave you feeling more lost than before you even started? This right here is the core paradox of what's known as strategic ambiguity. It's that exact moment when someone uses options to make sure that no matter what happens, you're the only one who can possibly be blamed. Alright, so here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to start with confusion as a weapon, then move to the ambiguity trap. After that, we'll dive into the control cycle and the psychology of fog. And then the good stuff, finding your clarity, and finally, your mind, your rules. Let's get into it.
First up, confusion as a weapon. And let's get one thing straight right from the jump. That fog you feel when you talk to certain people, it is not an accident. It's a tool. And understanding what it's for is the very first step to seeing through it.
The core concept here is that a simple word like maybe, or a vague promise, or a complete non-answer, these aren't just signs of someone being indecisive. Nope. In this context, they're weapons. They are specifically designed to destroy your certainty. We're going to pull apart this linguistic fog piece by piece so you can see exactly how it's built and why it works so damn well.
Okay, so now we're at the ambiguity trap. And look, this isn't just about one or two confusing words. It's about someone building an entire environment of confusion. This trap is a space created by intentional vagueness, and its whole purpose is to paralyze you, to stop you from acting with any real confidence.
And yeah, this thing actually has a name. It's called strategic ambiguity. This isn't just some annoying conversation habit. It's a documented tactic that literally shifts the way you think. Someone intentionally withholds clear instructions, clear parameters, forcing you to guess. And that guess, that's exactly where the trap snaps shut.
And trust me, this isn't some abstract academic idea. You see this everywhere. Think about that toxic corporate doublespeak where your goals seem to change every single week. Or in some families with unstable hierarchies where the rules depend entirely on a parent's mood. And of course, you see it all the time in high-pressure relationships, where one person needs to keep their options open by systematically shutting down yours.
Just look at the difference here. On one side, you have mutual clarity. This is what healthy communication looks like. Shared rules, teamwork, a sense of safety. But on the other side, you have interpretive labor. This is what strategic ambiguity forces you into. Suddenly, you're the only one guessing the rules. It's this lonely, exhausting struggle, and honestly, it's often designed for you to fail, just so they can swoop in and fix your mistake.
So what keeps you stuck in this cycle? Well, it's usually two very powerful and very wrong beliefs. The first is what I call the explanation loop. This is when you believe that your confusion is somehow your fault. You think, oh, I just need to ask the question in a better way. The second is the choice trap. You get a vague instruction, you do your best to act on it, and then you feel completely responsible when it all goes wrong, even though you were set up to fail from the start. Okay, so how does this actually work, step by step? This isn't just random, chaotic behavior. It is a predictable, repeatable system. It's a cycle of control, and it's designed specifically to hijack your decision-making process. So let's break down the machine. This whole system, this ambiguity management cycle, it really has three main parts. First comes the non-committal pivot. Then they shift the interpretive burden onto you. And it all ends with the deniability pivot. Once you see these three steps, you'll start spotting this pattern everywhere. All right, let's look at step one, the non-committal pivot. This is where they hit you with what's basically word salad. They just throw a storm of vague, confusing, and often conflicting options at you. The goal isn't to communicate, it's to exhaust you, to create mental fatigue. Your brain starts to see this person as an unsolvable puzzle, and you're tired before the real game has even begun. And that exhaustion leads you right into step two, the interpretive burden. This is the pivot point. The person in control just stops. They stop giving you rules. They created the fog, and now they step back and watch you try to find your way through it. You are forced to guess what they want. You have to pick a direction with absolutely zero good information. And of course, after you've made your choice and things inevitably go sideways, we arrive at step three, the deniability pivot. And it almost always sounds exactly like this. That's not what I meant. In those 5 little words, their control is complete. The guess they forced you to make is now twisted into proof that you messed up. Their vagueness is totally forgotten, and your action is the only thing on trial. The long-term damage of this cycle creates a psychological state called attributional ambiguity, and it is incredibly powerful because our brains are literally wired to solve puzzles and make sense of things. These controllers exploit that basic human drive. Eventually, they don't even have to actively control you. They just have to stay vague, and your own brain, desperate for an answer, will keep spinning its wheels, keeping you second-guessing yourself pretty much forever. So what makes the psychological fog so powerful? I mean, why is it so effective? To really get it, we need to look at what's motivating both sides, the person creating the fog and the person just trying to see through it. And really, it all boils down to this fundamental imbalance. The controller's motivation is something we can call absolute impunity. If they're never clear about what they want, they can never be blamed for anything. Meanwhile, your vulnerability is just a basic human need, the need for cognitive closure. You just want things to make sense, and they use your need for an answer as a shield for their own deniability. So how exactly is your brain getting hijacked? Well, it comes down to 2 key psychological principles. First, you've got cognitive load theory. The idea is simple. A confused mind is an easy mind to manage. When your brain is overwhelmed trying to sort through ambiguity, you just don't have the mental energy left to push back. And that leads directly to the second principle, decision fatigue. You just get so tired of guessing that you eventually give in. You'll agree to anything just to make it stop.
Okay, enough of the doom and gloom. We've taken apart their architecture of confusion. Now let's talk about building your architecture of clarity. This is the practical part. This is the defense protocol.
And it's actually a pretty simple 2-step process. It's all about developing a new kind of awareness and then taking a new kind of action. It starts with something called the clarity test, and then it moves to a practice I call radical specification.
Now, step 1 is a total game changer, but it's all in your head. It's a mindset shift. You have to start seeing your own confusion not as a personal failure, but as a piece of data. It's not data about you, it's data about them. So stop blaming yourself. From now on, whenever you get an answer, you run it through the clarity test. You just ask yourself, is this a clear, actionable answer, or is this just a cloud? Simply recognizing the cloud is your first line of defense. And that brings us to step 2, which is where you take real action, radical specification. This means you have to stop playing their game. You have to stop trying to understand them or guess what they really mean. That's the whole trap. Instead, you document. You get things in writing. You send follow-up emails confirming details. And look, this isn't about trying to catch them in a lie. It's about building a solid foundation for your own reality based on hard facts, not their foggy interpretations.
And when you start doing this, your whole perspective shifts. You begin to realize that confusion isn't a byproduct of a conversation, it's a warning sign. It's often just a red flag masquerading as a conversation. All right, let's bring this all home. This final part is the most important one. It's called Your Mind, Your Rules. And it's all about reclaiming your own mental territory, your communicative sovereignty. It's about you setting the rules for engagement from here on out. If you remember only one thing from this entire explainer, please let it be this. You are not confused. You are being mismanaged. That feeling, that pit in your stomach, that sense of being lost and second-guessing everything, it is not a reflection of your intelligence. It is the intended result of a strategy someone is using against you. And once you truly understand that, you can adopt a new unbreakable rule for your life. Your clarity is not a negotiation. It is not something you need to beg for or bargain for or earn. It is a non-negotiable requirement for any healthy interaction. And if someone can't or won't give it to you, well, that tells you everything you need to know, doesn't it?
Because what this all comes down to is this. Your mind is private territory. It belongs to you. And you are absolutely allowed to evict anyone who comes in and tries to use your own confusion to build you a cage.